T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And what is up, guys? Michael Buckcuster here with the Mike and Mike Man Hour live, raw and uncut sports talk. No fancy intro today or anything like that. Flying a little solo here until Tip and LeBlanc come in for us. We hope everybody's had a great weekend, had a great Monday so far. So already piping in what happened to KKC on the weekend. We'll get into that. We will. Guys, just pump the brakes a little bit. Kansas City's just fine. But before we get too far carried away, guys, head over to the MikeandMikeManHour.com. Check out the new merchandise I just dropped. We have beanies, new hats, and new T-shirts in there as well. So if you guys would be most kind, head over there. We're live on there right now, MikeandMikeManHour.com. Go ahead and check that out. Also, drop a donation if you would as well. If you're also watching us on YouTube channel, youtube.com/MikeandMikeManHour. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Like it and share it with a couple friends. But as always, we are welcomed here with Coach Tip here. And Tip, how you doing today, bud?
Gentlemen, how's it going? Man, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, it's a beautiful Monday day here in southern Indiana, I should say.
Amen.
LeBlanc was joining us here, but he got struck by lightning or something like that, and his house just blew up. I don't know what happened, but But nonetheless, Tip, we had an eventful NFL weekend. We had some highs, we had some lows.
Yep.
So let's just go ahead and recap some scores here real quick so far on the Week 5 of the NFL season. Let's flash back to, man, it seemed like forever ago now, but Thursday night game, we did have the Bears beating the Bucks 20-19 in this one. And then we had the Panthers beating the Falcons 23-16. And then the game that really upset me the most that we're going to talk about first here is the Las Vegas Raiders beating the Kansas City Chiefs 40-32. Tip, you did call this game.
Yeah.
Even though you're really hesitant about it, you're like, oh, just forget it. The Raiders. I mean, like, I don't know if you can really call that a excellent pick or not, but you did get the pick on that one. So, what are your thoughts on that game?
Actually, if you look back, I got a few picks right this weekend. I got the Carolina game, and I picked the Giants, the G-men, and they almost did it. They almost did it. And I think there were a couple others that I picked that happened, but. I didn't get to watch this game because it's not in my area, but I did see bits and pieces of it. I did see the very end of it when it came on, while they were waiting for the next game or whatever they were doing. And I just felt like Kansas City was rusty going into the game. I didn't think they looked particularly what's the word I'm looking for here? On point, I guess you'd say. They didn't look like they were really there, so to speak. And the Raiders, which I knew they would do because they've got Gruden as their head coach. They are a hungry team. They're young. I think Carr is overrated as a quarterback. Now Jacobs didn't have a great game, but he had a decent game. Waller had a good game. Ruggs had, that guy just went completely berserko. And then Kansas City, I think we saw some of Kansas City's bad habits come into play in areas that they may need some help in. And last year they were really good in their secondary. They were one of the tops in the league in the secondary. And this year they were supposed to be, and I think they're giving up quite a bit more than what they did last year. And I just think they had some rust. I think they may have both been overlooking the Raiders like in the past because the Raiders haven't beaten them in so long, especially at Kansas City. I think it's been like 7 years or something like that. And so it was just one of those games. I feel like if Kansas City and the Raiders played 3 games, I feel like the Kansas City would win the series. But you get a one-game situation, a one-game deal. You got a young team coming in there hungry, and you got an old team who's who could have a little cockiness about them. They could, things are going real swell. They could have some rust, and they could have overlooked the Raiders. And I do still believe that Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl. I do still believe that Kansas City is the best team in the AFC, not in the league, but in the AFC. I think they're probably the second best team in the league. Maybe they're within the top 5, put it that way. But I still think they're going to the Super Bowl. And I just but look out for the Raiders, man. Don't take anything away from them. They played a great game. And even when Kansas City got up a couple TDs, the Raiders didn't give up, man. They came back and they scored and they put it to them and they answered. And it was a great. I wish I could have gotten it locally here to watch. I do, because it looked like it was a really great game to watch. And so that's kind of my assessment on it. I wouldn't put too much stock into the Raiders win, other than that they're up and coming and looking good for a young team. But maybe this is something Kansas City needs to kind of bring them back down a little bit to earth and say, okay, to win this second Super Bowl, we got work to put in. We can't just nobody's gonna lay down for us. And so I think the Patriots kind of put a blueprint out there of how you can be effective against Kansas City on both sides of the ball. And I think more teams are going to pick up on that and try that. But, don't overlook the Raiders. Give them props. They played great. But also don't put too much into Kansas City's deal, because they're still Kansas City.
Okay, so I let you kind of go a little bit. Say your piece. You're talking kind of down about my Kansas City Chiefs, and I'll let it slide. But
I gave them props, man. They're still Super Bowl bound.
You are correct on that one. However, people fail to realize, yes, they had a pretty good defense last year, but what did that defense do the first half of the season? They were consistently giving up 300, 400-plus yards every game the first 8-9 weeks of the season. And then finally, toward the end, they dialed it in. And, of course, their schedule got a little bit easier, so their defensive stats went way up, so therefore kind of improving throughout the whole
right.
So when you're really low and then super high, it kind of bounces like it out. People fail to understand that. Secondly, we signed a cornerback, a safety, off of the practice squad. Actually, he was on the street to our practice squad, and then he was activated 2 days before the game time. Yes, he was a part of the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Breland is who I am referring to. However, I don't care if you have played in a years past. Things have changed, and it just takes time to mesh. And then third of all, we have seen the Las Vegas Raiders offense kind of just nickel and dime and dime teams down the field, hand the ball off, nickel and dime, hand the ball off. John Gruden finally takes off the leash of Carr and allows him to push the ball down the field, and we saw the the Las Vegas Raiders offense really explode, and that's what they needed to do. Carr is, do I want to say elite? But he is on the cusp of being one of those top tier quarterbacks. And this weekend, seeing him throw the ball down the field, completing those big passes, and basically going toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes, because that's what it comes. Well, that's what it comes down to, is quarterback versus quarterback. At the end of the day, it was Carr versus Mahomes, and Carr came out on top. That's just the way it is, and Carr took that step into becoming an elite quarterback, and all that off-season talk saying he is tired of being disrespected and all that stuff. It has finally come to fruition, and he's starting to show some things. Now, I said it last week, that game versus the Bills is going to kind of be a make or break game for the Las Vegas Raiders, and we kind of see it. It is making their season. They have now beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe they had the Denver Broncos next. They'll probably win that game too. This is a 9-win team, guys. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to sneak in. They're not going to sneak into the playoffs. They're going to get into the playoffs, and they're going to do some damage in the playoffs like as well. Do not let them in, because they will get a first-round win.
Well, I think there's two things to that. One, Carr is doing what he's doing because, let's face it, people were really dogging, for lack of a better term, John Gruden when he took the Raiders over. And I don't remember all of the stuff that he did, but he gave away Khalil Mack and he gave away, he got a bunch of picks, and he kind of did the Jimmy Johnson thing almost, when he went to Dallas years ago. He gave up Herschel Walker and got 47 draft picks for it and 16 players and whatever all the deal was. And so, number one, John Gruden believes in Carr. If Gruden didn't believe in Carr, Gruden believes in Carr. If he didn't, Carr wouldn't be there. Now, does that mean
he's been wanting Carr out for the last 3 years? He just hasn't found a trade partner.
Okay, but he still, if he truly didn't believe in Carr, he would have already gotten somebody else. Carr is in the midst of proving
He got
himself.
Marcus Mariota.
Like I said, he would have gotten somebody else. If Carr is starting to prove himself, and I believe he's going to be okay. Now, that being said, it also helped that Ruggs came back off of injury, because Ruggs hasn't really been there and hasn't really shown much, and now he came back, and everybody was questioning, why did you take Ruggs in the draft? And now we're starting to see exactly why. Right. And so then you've got Waller, you've got Jacobs. Gruden is slowly building the defense. You're right. They could very well make the playoffs. I don't know if they will or not. I don't know how far they go with the extra spot. It could help. But I think next year could be a year where they really and fight for the AFC West. Because you got to remember, you got Herbert coming to the Chargers now. So they're looking a lot better with him.
He is.
So you're going to have to fight, and one day Kansas City will be dethroned. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen and who's the team that's going to do it. I would take the Raiders over the Chargers to do it just because of John Gruden and what he's building there. And so I don't know if they do much this year, even if they make the playoffs. I don't know if they're a first round win, depending on who they play. But I can tell you this, I'm with you on this. I think next year could be their year where they absolutely are threats to Kansas City to win the AFC West.
And don't try to take my words and twist it. I did not say they're a threat for Kansas City next year, because we've seen it in years.
No, I think they are.
What I'm saying, we've seen in years past when we have expectation of the Raiders to do well, they fall on their face 3-3 and 13, 4-12 type of situation. So if you think that is going to happen, it is in the Raiders' best interest to fall flat on their face right now. So we don't have any expectations for them next year, and then they surprise us next year.
Well, if they make the playoffs this year and don't win the AFC West and they get in as a wild card, I think those are expectations that people probably would have had. Maybe even they would have exceeded some's expectations.
True.
But next year, if they don't win the AFC West this year, but they get into the playoffs as a wild card, I do believe that next year they can take the next step, and I think next year they can challenge and even possibly win the AFC West.
And I think you are overlooking a major player in that AFC West. Is that the Denver Broncos? I had them as a sleeper team this year, as an 8-8, and sliding into a wild card spot there. And, of course, they've been riddled with injuries from top to the bottom.
Are they in NFL, Denver? Oh, I thought they were college. I'm sorry. My bad. My bad.
Well, next year when they challenge the Kansas City Chiefs for the AFC West,
okay, write that down. Write it down.
You won't be surprised. Now, this is from a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and I hate those ponies. I dislike Peyton Manning now because he went and played for them and won a Super Bowl, right? But with all that being said, they have a better young nucleus than the Las Vegas Raiders do. I think they have a more complete team than the Kansas City Chiefs do. Now the Kansas City Chiefs have more playmakers, so therefore it kind of gives them a slight edge. But if you go head to head at each position, I think the Denver Broncos come out on top of that.
Who's the next man up since Watkins might be up? Hurt again.
We have 5 names you can draw out of the hat. You have
Is it Hardman?
You have Byron Pringle. I'm trying to think of the other guy's name, but I think there are better guys as a wide receiver on the bench than Sammy Watkins was on the field.
I
to be
agree.
honest
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
and Nicole Hardman, we drafted him last year. I believe it was the first round when we drafted Nicole Hardman, and he is. I expect him to make a big splash if Watkins is hurt 100%.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think he's on the verge. I will give you that. And I kind of wonder why they don't use Hartman more. It seems like they would use Hardman because he seems like he can get upfield. And Kansas City doesn't seem to do a lot of that. I don't see them doing they don't just fling the ball up the field. You know, Holmes might get it to Hill 20, 30, 40, something like that, and let Hill do the rest, or Watkins, or what, Watkins is sometime. But it's like Hardman, every time I see him, the guy is just blowing past people.
Right.
And I just always wondered, with the kind of arm that Mahomes has, why not just have that deep threat and let him go? And maybe with Watkins, if he stays out, maybe they'll do that now.
So you're usually when Nicole Hardman is on the field, he is simply there for a decoy. He is a third or fourth read. So
he takes the defense with him and clears out the field.
Right. And I think Tyreek Hill is a type of player that you much like what you said about Zeke last week, is you have to get him touches, you have to get him involved in the game, and so you kind of see Patrick Mahomes kind of geared more toward Tyreek Hill because
he's proven himself too. Yeah, he's proven himself also.
Yeah,
your boy Hill,
you are 100% correct.
Way proven. Yeah, proven. Yeah.
Yes. So, with after this loss to the Raiders, many people are starting to say that Patrick Mahomes is overrated. Tonight on the After Hours, we're going to really dive deep into this. So, if you guys are curious about what I have to say, tune into the After Hours. But Tip, I'm going to ask you to add some fuel to the fire, a little bit. Is Patrick Mahomes overrated?
I think he's overrated in the sense of this. I don't believe he's the number one quarterback in the league. I think he's in the top 5, but I don't believe he's number 1. My number 1 is without a doubt Russell Wilson. I don't have anybody above him. He's number 1 in my deal. I like Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers is playing great. Got his team playing great. So there's a couple of quarterbacks. There's probably 3 or 4 quarterbacks in there right now that may be playing better than Mahomes. But in the end, I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. He's the scariest quarterback in the league to me, other than Russell Wilson, because you can't count that guy out. He has too many weapons. And to be honest with you, looking at Mahomes, he's young. And what's he in his 3rd year now? But the guy is dynamic. He's got such a mind, and he's starting to learn how to stay in the pocket more and pick his receivers. He's not running as much as he used to, but he can still do it with his legs if he needs to. He's not super speed like Lamar Jackson, but he can do what he needs to do with his legs. But I look at him and I just say, man, he's so sharp. He's got a mind on the field. Nothing phases him. He's competitive. He's very coachable, and so in some of those instances, I look at Mahomes and I say, yeah, he's definitely not overrated. But then you look at the way some of the other quarterbacks are playing in the league that I just mentioned, and right now at this particular moment in time, they're rated above him because of how they're playing, how their teams are playing, and how they're winning. So in that instance, he's overrated if you're still calling him the number 1 back. And if you're using a top 10 pick in fantasy football to get him, I think that was pretty much a wasted pick because you could have gotten great quarterbacks later, but I understood how people feel. So if you're saying, okay, he's overrated because there's because he's number 1, he's overrated. He's not overrated in the sense that he's a top quarterback. He's overrated in the sense that there are other quarterbacks right now who are outplaying him and producing at a different level. But that doesn't mean Mahomes can't produce at that level. So that's kind of the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfectly makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on the after hours tonight, Brandon Coombs, obviously the co-host of After Hours, is going to come on here, and we're going to have a friendly debate about how Patrick Mahomes is not overrated 100%. Because he texted me right after the Kansas City Chiefs loss, says, "Ha ha ha, Mahomes is overrated." I shut my phone off and I walked away because I wasn't going to deal with it.
Still put up what he put up. He still put up 40 points. I mean,
yeah,
and still had a chance to win. He just met a better team yesterday, and I don't even
better
know
defense.
I don't even know that he met that. I told you, I think they kind of overlooked the Raiders. I think when they play again this season, it wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs went in there, focused and said, "Okay, we're going to show you who we really are." And it wouldn't surprise. The only thing that hurts the Chiefs is they don't have a great defense to complement that offense. They got a decent defense, but they don't have a great offense, and I think they're missing maybe a piece or two back there to help Mathau. He's an all-pro safety, and I just think that they need to get a couple more pieces. Maybe a good defensive back. Somebody might be on the market before the season is up, or something like that. But if we were picking teams, okay, me and you to play a football game, just out on the field, one Sunday afternoon, and the only two quarterbacks there were Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, and you chose Russell Wilson, I certainly am not going to cry that I got Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
So it's not like you chose Russell Wilson and I got Kyle Allen. It's so that's kind of how I look at it. Never count him out. They're Super Bowl champions for a reason, and I think they're going to repeat.
All right, guys. So moving on here, just to recap some more scores: the Cardinals did beat the Jets 30-10. The Steelers outlasted the Eagles 38-29. The football team lost to the Rams 30-10, but Alex Smith did play the whole second half. I believe he was 7 for 17 for 37 yards passing. Tip, you said something in a trash talk group saying that you just hope he just throws the pass and kind of ways off the field. Alex Smith,
he got sacked 6 times.
That's perfectly fine, and he got up every time. Perfectly healthy. Alex Smith looks like a guy that's poised to take the starting role for the Washington football team. Yes, they named Kyle Allen starter for next week still, but obviously he is on a short leash. What do you think about this?
I don't think he's. Whoa. Sorry about that. My earplug fell out. I don't think he should be playing. And if I was Washington, I probably would have signed him to a one series deal. I would have, and I'll tell you why, man. I heard something this morning that made me think about this. At one point, he was carrying on his back, piggybacking Aaron Donald. And that's a lot of weight on you and a lot of force. And if that leg snaps, it could be it. So, first of all, the guy was blessed to even be here with his life. Because he almost lost his life. I saw the E60 documentary on it, and it was really gruesome and bad. So, and then on top of that, he's blessed to even have his leg heal and be able to make it out there. They thought at one point they were going to have to take his leg off, amputate his leg, and now he's out there and he plays a game, and I'm like, okay, your chances of getting hurt now are way higher than they ever were. Okay, I think he should have gone out there. I think he should have backpedaled from the shotgun. I think McLaurin should have gone up the field, and I think he should have winged it as far as he could. Hopefully, maybe McLaurin catches it and scores a touchdown. It's one of those great ending plays. Who knows? I think he should have done that, and then I think he should have walked off on his own accord and gotten a standing ovation and retired from football. Because he didn't get hurt yesterday. What's to say, the more chances you take, the more chances that you could get hurt.
Well, that's the same with every football player.
Come on now. That was gruesome, man. He's got a wife and kids, and he's got he's got a life to live. Go be a commentator. Go be a coach.
You can say the same thing about like AP when he tore his ACL. Hey, you've already rushed for 10,000 yards in your career. You're over 30. Just healed that knee and right off to the sunset.
Tearing an ACL is painful, but it's not like breaking your leg in half and
it's still an injury and you're prone to get injury again, right?
You are prone to get injury, but what does he have to prove? Let me put it like this: it ain't like the Washington Redskins is what I'm going to call them. It ain't like a football team. It's not like they're going to make the playoffs. Most likely.
If Alex Smith is a starter, they're making the playoffs.
I just don't think he should play. That's just me coming from somebody who's grew up playing sports and had injuries. Nothing to that effect. But I just think he's taking a chance, and I don't think he has anything to prove. Okay, let's just say Washington for some reason wins the NFC East now that Dak is gone and they make the playoffs. Who knows? Okay, how far do you really expect them to go? Are they the type of Cinderella story that's going to win the Super Bowl? Probably not.
Every dog has their day. They get hot at the right time. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple years ago on Jerome Bettis' last year. They snuck into the playoffs as a 6th seed. They played every road game in the playoffs, and they won the Super Bowl. How about
won the Super Bowl on 2 bad calls?
They still won the Super Bowl. How about the New York Football Giants? Had to win Week 17 to make it into the playoffs, and then they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and they ended the Patriots Cinderella story. They were a 7-9 team, make it into the playoffs like that.
Cinderella story is always there. I mean, if they can or they won't. I'm just saying it's highly unlikely. So the 2 instances you brought up, how many instances were there that didn't happen? So
how many instances that a team had to really play the last game of the season to make the playoffs? I mean, yes, it's like it does happen every year, but those teams that are really playing in for that last spot really aren't clicking, to make a Super Bowl run. The Washington football team can click at the right time, and they have a very dangerous defense. They have a pretty good offense, and with Alex Smith leading the way, he's been there, done that type of situation. I mean, he led the 49ers to the Super Bowl. Yes, Kaepernick was the starting quarterback and all that stuff, but if Alex Smith was starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers that season, they would have won that Super Bowl, and you could have saw a 2, 3, 4 win Super Bowl team out of that particular team.
No way. Andy Reid's been dealing with quarterbacks for 40-plus years now, man. He dropped Alex Smith for Holmes. So that's, no, he's not that kind of quarterback. I admit he's a winning quarterback. He's got probably a decent.
What do you mean he's not that type of quarterback?
He's not the type of quarterback that's going to get you to a Super Bowl.
Yes,
he's not going to win. No way. He was a winning quarterback that would get you 10 or so, 11, 12 wins a season. He wasn't the type of quarterback that's going to win a major game for you. He had plenty of chances to prove it, and he never did get it done. He's a quarterback that is a winning quarterback, but he's not a championship quarterback. There's two different quarterbacks there.
What big game do you refer to that he had a chance to win?
Yeah, he got let go by 2 teams. He got let go by your guy Andy Reid for Mahomes. For
arguably the greatest quarterback that we're going to see. Yes, we did.
He had a gut feeling. Nobody knew that at the time. Andy Smith was winning at Kansas City. He was winning. Okay, he was winning. But Andy Reid, who knows way more than you and I put together, obviously saw something there and said, okay, Smith is not the guy that's going to get us to the Super Bowl and get us over.
Out of respect, he knew Alex Smith had time left to play still. Yes, his contract in Kansas City, and he said, hey, Washington needs a team. Go play, because here you are not going to be the starting quarterback. You're going to be a backup.
Okay, but if I had a starting quarterback that was good and could take me to the Super Bowl, I'm going to play him over another quarterback that is good that can't take me to the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what Andy Reid thought. He said Mahomes can get me to the Super Bowl and get me over that hump.
He's just saying that Mahomes.
Alex Smith can't.
Yes,
he didn't have faith in Alex Smith, or he wouldn't have traded him.
He didn't trade him. His contract has expired.
They let him go. And then they didn't renew his contract. And then the 49ers, he didn't even get to play the last few games of that season.
because of Colin Kaepernick and because of injury.
No. Okay, yeah, he was injured, but he was able to come back. But they kept Kaepernick in there
because he had a hot hand.
Because he had a hot hand, and they looked at that and said, okay, he can get us to the Super Bowl. We're winning with this guy. Alex Smith can't. And then the 49ers let him go.
You are talking out of your
he's
that. He's
a quarterback.
Are you telling me that Colin Kaepernick is better than Alex Smith?
I'm saying at that particular moment in time, in that season, that year, the coaching staff thought so because they didn't take him out and put Alex Smith back in.
I don't care what the coaching staff thought. What do you think? Is Colin Kaepernick better than Alex Smith?
Man, I don't really know about that. I don't know. He's not better than Mahomes. Neither one of them are. But
exactly.
Now, okay, I'm going to say this. Now, I'm not a Kaepernick fan, and we won't get into the reasons as of why or not, okay? I just say this. At that moment in time for that season, when Kaepernick came in and started playing, and I started watching him play, I did think at that moment in time he was better than Alex Smith.
Yeah,
now
5 or 6 games, whatever it was.
Whatever it was, it went to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I'm not sure Alex Smith would have gotten him there. He may have, he may not.
He would have won the Super Bowl.
The coaching staff didn't think so. Colin Kaepernick almost won the Super Bowl until a mysterious electric, failure happened in the stadium, and then somehow he just kind of stopped the whole momentum and things went awry. But they might have won. Colin Kaepernick had that kept going. I'm glad the Ravens won because I'm not a 49ers fan, but that was surely a mysterious thing that happened that night, and it did.
Weird world we live in, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it did stop the momentum of the 49ers. Because they were making a comeback and the Ravens weren't able to stop them. I'm not sure that Alex Smith gets down that far and makes that type of comeback in that type of game. I just don't think so.
Only time will tell. Hopefully Alex Smith does become a starting quarterback in Washington, D.C.
I think he's done.
All right, so
I wouldn't sign him because I wouldn't feel good as an owner to say, you know what, man, I love you, big guy, and you've been great for us. Man, you've played 10-plus years in the league. You almost lost your life. You almost lost your leg. You almost lost your family, everything. I'm going to let you get out there and do one series. We're going to sign you to this. I'm going to give you your money, and I'm going to let you go off in the sunset because I wouldn't feel right. If I was sitting up in my box, got hurt again, through the owner's minds. It did. What if he gets hurt again? It had to be.
Well, only time will tell. Let's go ahead and move on here. The Baltimore Ravens did beat the Cincinnati Bengals 27-3 last night. Joe Burrow got sacked for 7+ times in this game for the second or third time this season. The Houston Texans routed off their first win of the season, 30-14. Your Miami Dolphins destroyed the 49ers 43-17. Yeah. Fitz magic is still there, I guess, for another week. And the game of the week, probably the Browns taking on the Colts, beat the Colts 32-20-23. Is the Cleveland Browns Super Bowl bound after this win?
I don't think so. And I picked this game, I did pick this game. I took Cleveland. Yeah, you took the Colts. I just wanted to give a reminder, that's all, But wasn't that a good game to watch? Wasn't that a really good game to watch?
There are some games that, you just hate to watch. Teams you don't care, you don't care about the Ravens and Bengals for example. But this is a game I found myself in intrigued. What's going to happen next? Who? And then the Colts. Was it the third quarter or the fourth quarter? I can't remember for sure. Phillip Rivers throws that pick six, and then. And then the very next play, the Colts take it back to the house for a 101-yard kickoff return. At that point, I'm like, man, this is going to be an exciting finish, exciting game. But obviously the Browns came out on top.
Well, around here, we get the local games unless you've got if you've got Spectrum, you don't get that. I don't. It's Dish or Direct, or one of them has got the football package where you can watch any game you want or something like that. So we get the local games around here. Cincinnati's a local team. We get a lot of Cincinnati games. We get a lot of Indianapolis games. We get a lot of Bears games, a lot of Dallas games. And I'm really surprised that they didn't show Dallas and the Giants. To be honest with you, I'm kind of glad they didn't because I didn't see that injury, and I wouldn't have wanted to have seen that. But I look at the Browns. I don't think they're Super Bowl bound. Not yet. Not yet. I think they got some work to do. Having Chubb out is not that they need to get Chubb back, and I don't know that they get him back before the season's up with that injury that he's got. Kareem Hunt's looking pretty good though. He's looking real good. But I still think they've made a lot of improvement. You got to think they still have a division where they have to get past the Ravens and the Steelers, and they're both looking really good. Now the Ravens, right. I'm not so hot on their offense, and then Cincinnati's there, and Cincinnati's they're not a given now as to get a win from them as they were. Now yesterday was a different deal. They just ran into a defense that is a beast, and they just don't have the players or the experience to deal with that. But man, I just look at that division and I say, I think they could be a playoff team if they keep playing well and growing, but I'm not sure that they're Super Bowl ready yet. There's probably 3 or 4 teams in the AFC that I would believe in a one-game situation would just easily beat the Browns right now. Right. You give them another year or two, and they need to shore up their secondary. They got some issues in their secondary. They give up a lot of points. They got, Garrett is a beast. He's ridiculous.
Yes.
So they got a lot of good parts. They got some, they don't have a tight end. Their linebackers are suspect. So they got some shoring up to do on defense. I think their offense is looking pretty well. OBJ, to me, has really been surprising because he's not throwing temper tantrums. He's not causing trouble. Yet. And he's not causing trouble. And he kind of seems to be working within the frame. Like yesterday, Landry was the number 1 receiver for them, or Hooper, one of them. And you didn't hear any complaints from him, anything like that. Hunt got the ball quite a bit. So I think they could be a playoff team, possibly, depending on what some other teams do. But Super Bowl bound, I don't think so quite yet.
Yeah, people that are saying this needs to pump the brakes real freaking quick. Look who the Cleveland Browns have played so far. Yes, they lost to the Ravens earlier. Yes, they played the Bengals, which, like you said, isn't a sleepwalk anymore, but it was still Joe Burrow's second game of the season. Then they played the football team, the Cowboys, and then the Colts. So the Colts and the Ravens are really the only 2 competition that they've had so far this season. But looking at their schedule moving forward, they are at the Steelers, they're at the Bengals, they play the Raiders, Texans, Eagles, Jaguars, Titans, Ravens, Giants. They have a tough-ass schedule ahead of them. I would not be surprised if they go 500, if not 400, in these next few games here, and going under 500 will only put you at about a 9-win season now moving forward. And with that being said, like how competitive the AFC is this season, you might need 10 wins just to even sneak into the playoffs. And sorry to say, on the NFC side, we're going to have a 5 or 6 win team make it into the playoffs. You can be 11-5, and you can be outside looking in the AFC. And Cleveland Browns, I think the wheels are getting ready to fall off the Cleveland Browns train. The reason why Odell Beckham Jr. hasn't exploded yet is because winning cures all, right? When like you are winning games, like, hey, at least we won. But next week when they go to Steelers and they get their butt whooped by Pittsburgh, Odell is going to be crying on the side. He's like, I only got 5 touches. Give me the ball, right? And you are going to start to see like a little bit of simmering happen, and then and let's say they lose to the Bengals. Let's say back-to-back weeks they get crushed by the Steelers and they lose a heartbreaker to Cincinnati in Cincinnati, and Odell Beckham Jr. only has two catches versus Steelers and say 3 or 4 targets versus Cincinnati for 1 catch, right? You will see him literally explode on the side. Line. That trade talk that we heard about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it's going to start to surface again. Should the Browns trade trade Odell? Should the Browns play? We are going to hear it again. Yeah, I mean, and quite frankly, I think Odell Beckham's the most overrated receiver in the NFL. Period. I mean, he is not a top 10 receiver like people think he is, and so everybody that is saying that the Cleveland Browns are Super Bowl bound, pump the brakes real quick. We're still talking about the Cleveland Browns. It would not surprise me if they tied 4 games this season in the last half of the year.
They still have a lot of work.
That's just the way they are.
And the fact that they beat Cincinnati, but Joe Burrow had just a ridiculous game against them, that shows their secondary weaknesses right there. And then they showed it again against Dallas. So they need a lot of help before they end up. I think the offense is on its way. I think they need a big time receiver besides OBJ, but I do think they're headed in the right direction. I like what I see from this year more than I did last year. They got a lot of work to do, especially on the defensive side of the ball, before they can even start talking about Super Bowl. But then again, like you said earlier, this is sports, man. Anything can happen.
And speaking of anything can happen, just like that, boom. Mike decides to join. What is up, brother?
What's up, man?
What's going on, man? It's been so long.
It's been so long, and the Texas Longhorns dropped 2 games, and K-State about to whoop that ass again in a few weeks.
Listen here, son. That was a heartbreaking game, and we're not going to talk about it.
I think it was the best game of the weekend.
I do too. I mean,
for the guys that don't know, we're talking about the Texas-Oklahoma game.
When you go into 4 overtimes, man, those kids are just burnt out. They're tired, and I have to take my hat off to Sam Ehlinger. The second half, Sam took over that game. Sam's the one who brought him back, and even when in overtime, games like that, you hate to lose those, but at the end of the day, man, it was a great game.
Yeah, it was a great game. And speaking of great games, we have been breaking down the NFL Week 5 scores so far. We just got done talking about the Cleveland Browns beating the Indianapolis Colts, and then the next game here, we have a couple more games to break down. The Dallas Cowboys outlasted the G-Men 37-34. They did not escape injury. As you guys have known by now, Dak Prescott did dislocate his ankle into the compound fracture as well. Had surgery last night. His recovery time is 4 to 6 months, so it could be back for next season if everything plays out correctly and whatnot. LeBlanc, you are a huge Cowboys fan. How do you feel about this win?
I think it's a loss all the way around, right? You lose Dak Prescott. I know I've been on record talking about, I don't think he's the franchise quarterback. He's not the quarterback going forward. And I still don't think that. But you never want to see a guy get injured like that. And, coming back from an injury like that is going to be tough. Doesn't matter how you look at it. Coming back, his career could be completely altered at this point. Yeah. Coming back from a dislocated compound fracture on your ankle, man, I've seen guys when I was in the military do that, and they were never the same ever again.
Hey, Mike, thank you for your service, buddy.
Thank you. So,
yes, sir.
when an injury like that happens, it's just gut-wrenching. And honestly, I bet you he's looking at it now like, I should have signed that contract. Because now you're on a
definitely.
Now you're on a franchise tag, and you may not have a career after this. So we'll see how that goes. I'm excited to see what Andy Dalton can do in Mike McCarthy's system. I really don't think what that offense does. That offensive line is horrible. They're plagued with injuries, and that defense. The defense is pathetic. You let the worst,
especially the left side of the offensive line.
Yeah,
line side. That's really bad.
You let the worst offense in the league literally put up over 30 points on you.
Oh, the worst offense in the league?
Yeah, G-Man. Worst offense in the league.
Okay. Have you seen the Jets play? I'm just asking for a friend.
I mean, Sam Darnold is out, so come on now.
Yeah, just New York teams in general.
But, I mean, the Cowboys don't have a prayer. I mean, damn, We're first place in the worst division in the league. We're first place with a losing record. That's sad.
We're going to make the playoffs with the winning record, though. They're going to get hot.
You think the Cowboys are going to get hot?
8-8, 9-7.
I just don't see it with that defense. Not with the schedule they have.
Tip, what are your takes away from this game?
Well, first of all, my prayers and condolences just go out to Dak and his family. And that was just like I said, I didn't get to see it, and I'm glad I didn't. But from what I understand, it was very gruesome, real ugly. And from being a former, athlete and playing sports, you never like to see even your worst, your biggest rival, worst enemy, whatever. You just never want to see anyone get injured like he got injured, and that was just it was heartbreaking. And so I looked at him, he's crying when he's going off the field. I don't think he was necessarily crying out of pain so much, even though it was probably pretty extremely painful. I think he was crying more because he just felt like he let the team down. He's going to miss his boys. He's going to miss being out there playing. And Dak has gone through a lot. Now, I'm going to disagree with Mike here, and I'm going to say I think Dak is a franchise quarterback. And I say that from this aspect. Dak puts up numbers, man. He's a team player. He's a great leader. He puts up numbers. I think he's got a lot of growing to do in the leadership aspect when he's on the field, because it seems like when he gets at the end of the game, when the game's close and he needs to score, he has a tough time. I don't know if that's offensive coordinating. I don't know if it's him or some of both, but he definitely needs to learn how to win some big games. But I do believe that you don't just go out there as an NFL quarterback and throw for 4,000 or 5,000 yards and 30-plus touchdowns and say, okay, I'm not a good quarterback. Everybody doesn't do that. There's a very small percentage of American or people in the world that can even do what he does. Okay,
Jameis Winston threw for the most yards and touchdowns last season. Now he's back up for Drew Brees.
He also threw for the most interceptions last season, but he was fantasy gold. Dak is fantasy gold.
We're talking about real life here. But fantasy talk today.
Yeah, right, but real life, I think he is a quarterback that can lead you to the Super Bowl, but he's got to learn how to take that next step and get it in the ball game.
Well, the thing with Dak is you have to you can't just put him on a team with decent wide receivers or a decent run game. See, with Dak, you have to have all those pieces around him for him to be successful.
Yeah,
right? And I know every quarterback wants that.
It's the defense. The defense is what's hurt them. The defense. You just signed DeMarcus Lawrence to a gazillion-dollar contract.
No, I get that, but
finally gets a sack and a bump.
We're talking about why Dak wouldn't be in my opinion, a franchise quarterback. Now you've got to go out and you got to spend money to get. I mean, we got lucky that we got CeeDee Lamb that dropped to us. CeeDee Lamb's going to be an amazing wide receiver, but you have to also have Amari Cooper. They got a $100 million contract.
Yep.
Michael Gallup. Like you're looking at two wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup's going to demand a big contract. Are we going to be able to pay him that? No, because we paid Amari Cooper all that money and we gave Zeke all that money, and you're going to get back all that money.
Anyway.
Huh?
Gallup is middle of the pack at best anyway. He's not a number one receiver.
Whoa.
No way. He's not even close to being a number one receiver on another.
He's a number one receiver on 2/3 of teams.
Good Lord. Gallup is not that. He's way overrated. Did you
not see that catch he made last in the game to win the game?
Did you not see the catch OBG made 16 years ago, and he's still considered a top 10 receiver, and he's not. Gallup is not a top 10 receiver.
I'm not gonna go out and say he's a top 10 receiver, but this is only his third year in the league and came in from a 6th round draft pick, I want to say.
Fair enough, but he's not. He's not a top receiver. You don't give him top money like you did him. He's not even a top 20 receiver like Amari Cooper. And I don't think
he's definitely a top 20 receiver.
I'm going to disagree.
Definitely top 10, top 20.
If he's top 20 receiver, then he should be playing like every game, but he's not.
He plays lights out every game. What are you talking about?
I got fantasy scores here that can show different.
He's not targeted. He's not the number one receiver like He's not. He's not a top. He's not the number one receiver, so he's not getting the targets like Cooper. But you put him on a team as a number one receiver, and just like Buck just flashed, he'll get those. I don't care about fantasy points. I give a damn about fantasy points. All I care about are W's, and that's it.
I agree, but he's not the kind. Okay, I asked Buck this the other day. I asked him this the other day. Is he the type of receiver? If you're going to pay all that money to him and you're going to call him a number one receiver on somebody's team or a top 5 receiver, is he that receiver that can win you a ball game? Is he Jerry Rice? Is he Megatron? You know, is he that kind of guy?
You're asking about Jerry Rice and Megatron. Those are like once in generational players right there.
He can't do it.
Yes, he can. If he had the quarterback to, he is going to go catch the ball every time.
No way.
I mean, he was the difference maker in that game yesterday.
Way beyond him.
He was the difference maker in that game yesterday.
Huh?
He was a difference maker in that game yesterday.
He's going to be that in the shootout. But is he going to be that guy that can win you a ball game?
Yeah. He did yesterday, and he's done it. He's done it a few other times too.
That's something besides a flavored filter in that thing you're smoking there, because Gallup is not going to win you no ball games. He ain't going to do that. He's not. I mean,
he proved it to you yesterday with two beautiful, crazy catches on the sideline,
over the back, over the shoulder. Perfect throw from Andy Dalton, by the way.
I didn't get to see that because I don't have. I told you what local games I had, so I didn't get to see that, and I haven't seen any replays. But I'm telling you, man, he is not the kind of receiver that can win you a ball game. Maybe on a catch once in a while, but he's not. He's not, man. He's not.
I think he's better than Amari Cooper.
I'll tell you this right now.
There you go. There's a bold statement.
Oh, good Lord, he's smoking what you're smoking. I'll tell you right now, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. If Michael Gallup gets a big contract, whether it be Dallas or somewhere else, he will be one of the biggest busts of all time, and he will not produce like his numbers, like his contract says he's supposed to.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move past.
Cooper is better than him, and he can't win you a ball game.
Cooper sucks on the road.
That is true. He's great at home.
He's a better receiver, though, all around.
No, he's not.
Michael Irvin could win you a ball game. Jerry Wright, those are receivers. There's some receivers nowadays, but Gallup is not that guy.
Let me ask you this question: how can a receiver win you a ball game without a quarterback to throw him the ball?
Exactly.
Just saying a top-notch receiver that you can go to like a running back. You can say, okay, this is our guy. We're going to go to him, and we're going to take our chances with him because he's our guy. And Gallup ain't that guy. He ain't that guy.
He was yesterday. Wait.
Okay. Are you smoking what they're smoking, man? Let me have some.
My eyes tell me that Michael Gallup is better than Amari Cooper right now on the Dallas Cowboys. He is better than CeeDee Lamb right now on the Cowboys. Michael Gallup can start on any other.
Now, CeeDee Lamb, he's a guy that's going to be, one day he's going to be one of the top receivers in the league, if not next year, within a couple of years.
The only way Michael Gallup does not start on any other team is if he went to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then he would be number 3.
Okay, he's starting. Let me ask you this: is Calvin Ridley a good receiver?
Yeah.
Okay, is Matt Ryan a good quarterback?
Yeah.
He's good enough to get him the ball, like you said. Is Calvin Ridley the type of guy that's going to go out and win a ball game for you?
Yes.
No, wait, he hasn't done it yet. He's not the kind of receiver.
He hasn't had the opportunity to.
He's overshadowed by Julio Jones. They're not going to go to Calvin Ridley. They're going to go to Julio Jones.
Okay, but he can't. Now, he can win you a ball game, but he's injured right now, so he can't do anything. Okay, you take a running back like Ezekiel Elliott. Can he win you a ball game?
Shit, not this year. Ezekiel Elliott's been horrible.
Can Derrick Henry win you a ball game? I don't think so. Because Ezekiel Elliott is just a different type of back. Christian McCaffrey wins you a ball game. Derrick Henry don't win you a ball game. Derrick Henry is a strong back who's powerful, runs well, scores for you, blah, blah, blah. But he ain't the kind of guy that you're going to say, hey, man, this is our guy, live or die, we're going to go to him at the end of the game.
Well, let me stop right there because we saw that the Derrick Henry clearly beat the Baltimore Ravens last year in the playoffs. Derrick Henry beat the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, but the Baltimore Ravens were up and coming, and the Baltimore Ravens, I think, are overranked myself this year. But all I'm saying is, if you're going to pay the guy all that money, $100 million for whatever, because that's what he's probably going to require, close to it. Are you going to pay a guy that kind of money that cannot win you a ball game if need to be, if the game needs to be won, it's on the line? Are you going to pay him Russell Wilson money? Because he's the kind of guy that can win a game for you. Dak ain't that
As we saw it last night that he did win a game.
Right. They're two different quarterbacks. So you pay Russell Wilson that money, but you don't pay Dak that money. But Dak is still a good quarterback that with weapons around him and a good defense.
See, that's the problem. Dak has to have weapons around him to win ball games.
Give you that. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying about Michael Gallup. Can he go to a team that has a crappy quarterback, halfway decent team, get the money, and still be the man on that team and help you become a winning franchise?
A receiver still has to have somebody to throw.
Yeah,
The receiver cannot throw the ball to himself and win a game.
Let's be honest. Jerry Rice isn't Jerry Rice without Joe Montana and Steve Young.
That's fair enough. But when the end of the game came about and it was a close game, when the Bengals played the Bengals in the Super Bowl and they came back and won in the mid '80s, who did they go to? Who was their guy? Who did they go to?
It was number 87. Wasn't the white guy that caught the ball in his own guy?
The white Clark.
Dallas went to either Emmett or they went to Michael Irvin. That's who they
that statement is halfway true.
Mix in Novich.
They went to Alvin Harper a lot too.
Right, yeah. But Alvin Harper was not a Michael Irvin. He wasn't going to get you consistent wins. And that's what I'm saying about Gallup. That's why I look at Gallup as an Alvin Harper. Maybe a little more talented.
Oh, no. He is way better than Alvin Harper.
A winning franchise. That's my point.
All right, guys, we are getting close on time here, and we still have yet to pick the Monday night game. So, in a couple sentences, well, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here quickly, Saints-Chargers play tonight on Monday Night Football. Michael Thomas will not be playing tonight because he got in a verbal altercation with the strong safety, and they're sitting him out. So, blah, blah. Who wins tonight, Saints or Chargers?
Chargers.
Tip.
I got the Chargers tonight.
I'm gonna take them.
Even though the Chargers have only won one game this season?
1-3, I think.
1-3. They'll be 2-3.
Or sorry, they're 2-2. I'm sorry.
2-2.
Do you all
Chargers
like
will win tonight, and I think that defense is going to give Drew Brees fits tonight.
And I like Herbert. I think Herbert is ridiculous. I think he's going to be great. He might be better than Joe Burrow when it's all said and done.
Wow.
Just my opinion. Just my humble opinion, that's all.
So Herbert's going to be better than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's going to be better than Patrick Mahomes. So therefore, Herbert is going to be the best quarterback ever to walk the face of the earth.
I don't know about Austin. See, that's coming from a DC fan right there. Come on, man.
I'm just saying. Saints win tonight, and they win big, 28-7.
You think Burrow's better than Mahomes? Not even close.
Well, take it away.
Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Better than Mahomes?
He kind of has to throw the ball. He doesn't
I
have
wouldn't say Joe Burrow is better than Mahomes right now, but you give Joe Burrow, give him a couple years, and yeah, I do. I think Joe Burrow is going to be he's definitely going to be a top tier quarterback.
I agree. I totally agree. But I will say this: I think Cincinnati has to put pieces around him. They got to focus on that winning deal.
I just want to know. I just want to ask Buck, how did it feel? And you lost to the Raiders last.
How did it feel when you lost to Oklahoma?
Oh, ouch!
Y'all
can't joke on me today because my Dolphins smashed.
How are you going to feel when K-State goes into Austin, Texas, and lays the smackdown on those horns? Then we do the horns down for the rest of the year. I'll wait. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today. Mike is crying a little bit on the inside. Mike and Mike, man, hour guys. Welcome. I missed you, buddy.
Missed you too.
All right, guys. So join us tomorrow, same time, same place, all the good stuff. We out.
See ya.